What is up everyone, this is Michael Witzemann and today I'm going to talk about a couple of basics when skating a flat rail. So let's get into it. So what we have here is a very odd flat rail, and just because of the fact that it's so odd, I'm not going to use the whole thing. So I'm not going to use the wings on this. So this I will not skate, but the actual basic flat rail is going to be what we're talking about today. Alright. So this is going to be the spot. I'm going to skate this part, and I know this is a very unfortunate angle. I'm going to get into it right away. What I am going to break this video down to is just the basics of how to approach a flat rail, to make sure that you're going to be good on the flat rail, and then also your landing, where you want to land ideally, and how to get there. So let's start all of this with the run up. Now, as you can see, if I'm only going this way, the rail already kind of restricts me when it comes to the run up. So I cannot skate into this, and this part here would be off just because it would be a neutral approach. Neutral meaning my feet are like one to the left of the rail, one to the right, and you want to avoid that. So we're going to work with that and actually take this to our advantage. All right, so this is the spot, and since this is a bit of an odd shape, I'm only going to skate this part. So like this actual flat rail, no pointy sides of the rail, no wings. Just to keep it simple for this one. And you could already maybe see that I'm holding street chalk up in my hand. That's because I am trying to break down the correct run up and landing, and I'm trying to visually have some support. So starting off with the run up, we're gonna make use actually out of these wings. Gonna take this to our advantage, because now that we have these wings, we cannot approach neutral. Neutral would be one foot is, like the right foot is to the right of the rail, left foot to the left. You don't want to have that for various reasons, but mainly because you can get caught up on the rail if you jump on like that. You don't want that. And as it goes for further, more technical tricks, doing this would be considered cheating. And so better just not to learn it this way and have to relearn it. So we're gonna just focus on that correct approach and gonna make use of these wings. So what I am gonna try to do is I'm gonna approach at the slight angle, and I'm gonna cut in right at the end. So as you can see, I'm like still approaching at a slight angle, so not fully parallel, but not the angle that is suggested by this rail off here. I'm gonna follow the shadow right here, and then I'm gonna make a very close turn to the rail, which will almost lead me up to a parallel approach. But as I said, it's just not a parallel approach. It's very close to it. All right, I'm gonna do this even further out, just so you know where you can, like this is the area that I'm working with here. So I'm gonna cut in here, I'm gonna go over. All right, run up looks good to me. I'm gonna repeat that on the other side as well for visual purposes. Right. All right. Looks pretty cool actually. What you can already tell is because of this approach, a significant part of the rail is already like unusable due to the approach, but we are going to try to come at the right approach. So right angle, and this right angle will secure us the way into like skating the whole rail all the way through. So now that I have my correct approach on both sides, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure that I get my confident speed. There's no right or wrong. You approach as fast or slow as you want. The goal right now is not to get all the way through on the spot, but it is just to feel out that run up. So I'm rolling towards it, and I'm gonna choose just whatever trick feels safest. This can be anything. Just make sure you have one trick down that you want to approach. And this approach is for every single trick. There is no specifics. This trick, if I want to do a sole or a true spin sole, which means I would do a 180 spinning away from it, or I would do an alley-oop sole, 180 spinning towards it, these are all the same approaches. And for some tricks, this might feel counterintuitive. Some tricks you think you need to get to go about at a steeper angle, but trust me, once you get familiar with this angle, this is exactly where you want to be. So just for emphasis, I'm going to do the true sole. Same angle as the alley-oop sole. The only thing you can see is sometimes I didn't carve all the way through, but just did this and then did the carve at last second. But I still aimed for the same angle. This, like getting down this specific angle right here on both of those sides, if you have that internalized, you can always work your way up like into more technical, more difficult tricks. The basics are there because this right here will help you get exactly on top of the rail. You want to be exactly centered. And that was not exactly centered, but you get the point. The thing about skating a rail is there's not really much to know about it except for the fact that you want to always be straight above the rail. It doesn't matter what you're doing, unless you're jumping away from it, of course. But you want to be, especially for switch ups, you want to be like this. That felt good. That was right there where I wanted it to be. And again, this goes for every single trick there is. The run up is crucial, and that just means if you have this run up down, if this is internalized and something doesn't work, you know it's something else. You can always rule out the possibility of the run up being wrong because this is objectively right. I can tell you that. So next, once you have the run up, you want to make sure that you always jump exactly high enough. You want to be slightly over the rail. You want to jump slightly higher than your spot. And that doesn't matter if it's this small or if it's a higher spot, it's going to always be the same thing. You want to be slightly higher than your spot in order to have this half a second to spot your trick, to spot your spot, and therefore guaranteeing you a more secure try. If you don't jump slightly higher, if you don't aim for a bit higher than your rail, it could just be that you would lean away too much, that you don't get your feet all the way up. These stances are not correct. Like, this is not what you're aiming for. You want to aim for neutral above the rail. So just a lot of repetition, a lot of going back and forth, and sometimes actually working against your intuition with the run-up, because sometimes the run-up seems as if it would make more sense in a different way. I'm not saying you shouldn't try it if it feels different, but this guarantees you that you come at the spot with a certain momentum that is just enough to force your body up to be centered. So you have the run up, you jump slightly higher than you think you would need to be. guaranteeing you that safety center over the rail. And now you're basically in for the ride. Now you're there. Now it's about the balance. Just because you have the right approach doesn't mean that you're gonna make the trick all the way through all the time. You're gonna need some balance. And I am very sorry to tell you, there's no, like, this is not something that you need to know and then you can do it right away. This is actually practice. This is all about practice. The more comfortable you feel in your tricks, the more you're gonna loosen up in the body parts that need to be loosened in order to balance the trick. So like your first couple of royales, for example, will feel kind of stiff and it feels like work. And the more you try them, the more you're gonna see, I don't need to like be fully tight in the quads right here. I can actually just like lean in on my ankles or my knees. And there's just a couple of things that come up with that. And the looser you're gonna get on the rail, the looser you're gonna get on your trick, the easier it's gonna be to counteract and therefore balance with your joints. I'm talking all joints. I'm talking hands, I'm talking knees, I'm talking ankles. It's all big part of this. So there we are. We got the run up, we got the jump on, we got our trick that we hopefully feel comfortable enough to start balancing it out. And now we're gonna get to the landing. And I'm gonna make a quick cut because the video is already so long. All right, for the landing, I've prepared another piece of chalk. Just because, all right, on a rail, we have slightly different rules, unwritten rules, but now I'm gonna write or like say them out loud. But generally, if you land neutral on a rail, that's pretty much ideal. It's whenever you have something like a top side that gets more emphasis on the nature of this trick, like whenever you land on the same side as you approached, that's all right. But still, landing neutral on these kind of tricks on a rail looks pretty much perfect. And therefore we're gonna put the green line here. You're gonna see it's gonna be a bit of a triangle, just because you land neutral doesn't mean you're turn neutral, and you can also just like roll away to the side slightly. But that is our exit right here. This is what I would still consider neutral. All right, this is what I would consider neutral, definitely. And then like you land here, it can still roll off a bit like this. That could still mean that your feet are, as per definition, neutral, whereas your right foot is on the right side of my spot, left foot left side of the spot. My wheels are coloring the whole thing right now. All right, and now, important thing is everything from here on out is the natural outcome of our red side. As in, whenever I land here and I would land further to this side out, let's say like this, because it's still the end, that would be our regular side. And just gonna try to see how this makes most sense. And on the other side, we have the white chalk. Just showing the white, or from camera perspective, the right side here. Actually, it's the left. Jumping off to the left, the regular one. Now it's gonna be a bit of the thing that people don't really like, which is, what are you and are you not allowed to do? Basically, you are allowed to do whatever you want. I'm still gonna tell you that if you approach from this side on any sole trick and you land in the red zone, it's considered far side. Far side meaning just landing on the opposite side of where you jumped on. Now, some people say, landing far side is always bad, it's always wrong, the trick doesn't count, whatever. I disagree. I certainly think on groove tricks, so anything that just goes in the middle of your skate, it doesn't matter where you go. Sometimes it looks even better to go on the outside. Same goes for regular sole play tricks. So if I do a sole, right foot, and I land over here, it would usually mean that at the last bit of the rail I had a way better stance because I was forced to like lean over. Whereas when I'm jumping off here, it's just like factually or like objectively the right stance, whatever. But this, I think, offers more steez, for example. Now when it comes to topside, just a bit more tech now, is topside would be I'm jumping on from here and have my frame on top of the rail. So like this. And if I land in the red zone right here, that would be considered a far side, and I think that's a valid point just because you lose your, like that extra that was the top side. The top side would be more, would have more weight, would have like more emphasis if you land neutral or in the white zone. I would at least say landed neutral, like right in the middle. And that's about it. I'm gonna do a couple of examples on this to show you what I'm talking about. I'm gonna try to not draw over the whole skate park. All right, so just a couple of basics. Again, I'm gonna do the front royale, got the run up, neutral. All right, that's 10 points. On stuff like this, again, I think neutral is ideal. Going for a back farv. That was a very close neutral. I tend to overshoot on these. But again, getting a clean run up, jump slightly higher, land far side. No, don't land far side. All right. One more. Yeah, that's pretty much what I would aim for. This I would consider my ideal backside Fahrvergnügen. Let's do more. All right, and there we go. First example of a sole plate trick that I still landed neutral, I guess, but it was kind of far side. That looks way better, in my opinion. I'm not even gonna play it down. I love the way alley-oop soles or soyales look whenever you land on the other side. Well, that might even be a bit too far out, but just to kind of underline what I'm talking about. And again, yeah. Going far side on your regular sole plate tricks just makes them look better in a sense of you have such a good stance, like so far on top. What else? Let's do something true spin. So I'm like, true spin P-star. Haven't done on this rail before. I think my visual aid might have just helped me try this trick. Same goes for a true Mach. I never tried these. Woo-hoo-hoo. All right, and this is actually a point I haven't covered yet. This is one thing that just basically tells you that I am right about this specific run up. I missed this trick. I did not touch the rail after. I just rolled away from it. That's because I'm not approaching at an angle, but this, or not at a like straight at it. But the way I jumped on, I was fully centered. If I had the trick, I would have had it. I missed it, I rolled back. No upper body in ways that you cannot imagine. But yeah, still I haven't landed it, so. I would say I still haven't landed it. That was something. Cut in. Yeah. This approach, combined with the defined jump off that is slightly higher, offers me so much time to focus. Hell no. Let's do a back staff. Yes. All right, I haven't really done any true spin top sides. I don't know about the stickiness. All right, final one. So I just recently gotten into true spin top acids and haven't really focused on these much lately. I tried to learn them, or I did actually. I think I learned them. I would say I learned them already, but got my first approaches on the ledge, so rail should be okay. No. This would be no commitment. This is where I want to go. That's pretty good. That was solid. Yeah. So for me, I personally like to set standards for myself. Obviously, this is very subjective point of view, but I would say following these rules that I made up for myself, this would also be what I consider film-worthy tricks whenever I land them like this. So if I do a true top acid, land in this zone, I would take the clip. And that is it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Park is about to be filled up with kids and other skaters, so hope you enjoyed this video and tune in for next time. I'm going to leave the Patreon link in the description below for more detailed and more deep dives of skate tricks and approaches. And I am cooking, holy shit, both physically and mentally. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time on the next video. Keep skating.